You know, there was a time when magic was real. A time you could literally hold a moment in your hand, just seconds after it happened. This is the story of the company that invented that magic and then somehow let it all just vanish.
It all started so simply. Just, you see a moment, you want to keep it. So you press a button.
And then you hear that sound. Oh, that sound. That iconic mechanical whir and click. It was the sound of a memory being born.
And then came the wait, the anticipation. We all did it, right? Shaking it, watching that gray, murky haze slowly resolve into life.
That's the only word for it. It wasn't a process. It was a miracle. A tangible piece of the past, developing right there in front of your eyes.
So where did an impossible idea like this even come from? Well, like all the best revolutions, it didn't start in some corporate boardroom. It started with a simple, almost childlike question. Picture this. It's 1947. The scientist Edwin Land is on vacation, and his 3-year-old daughter asks him that. Why can't I see the picture now? And instead of just explaining how cameras work, Land decides to change how they work. He basically conceived of the entire instant camera right then and there in about an hour.
And you gotta understand, this was a massive challenge. It wasn't just one invention. It was a symphony of science, chemistry, engineering, optics, all performing this complex chemical ballet inside a tiny box every single time you pressed the shutter. It was a concept that honestly shouldn't have worked, but it did. And when it worked, oh boy, did it work. It completely took over the world. The launch of Polaroid wasn't just a new product. It was the birth of a cultural phenomenon that was about to touch every single corner of society.
I mean, who didn't use it? You had artists like Andy Warhol turning it into high art. Ansel Adams used it for his test shots. Police departments were documenting crime scenes with him. And for the rest of us, it was at every birthday party, every graduation, every single moment worth remembering. It wasn't just a tool, it became part of life itself.
By the 1970s, Polaroid was an absolute titan. At their peak, they were pulling in $3 billion in annual revenue. And remember, that's in 1970s money. It's just a staggering figure.
At one point, they employed over 21,000 people. Just think about that. An entire empire built on the simple desire to see a picture right now. They were, without a doubt, on top of the world. But as we all know, it's from the highest peaks that the falls are the most devastating.
Because hidden deep inside this incredible empire, a fatal flaw was growing. It was a fear. They were about to invent the very technology that would one day destroy them, and the crazy part is, they knew it.
This is where the story turns. Polaroid faced this impossible choice. On one hand, you have their cash cow, the film. It made up 70% of their profits. It was their entire business model. On the other hand, the future. A future they had just invented themselves. A digital camera, patented by their own engineers in 1996.
So what did they do with this world-changing invention? They buried it. They were absolutely terrified that digital, which of course needed no film, would cannibalize the most profitable part of their company. So they made a choice. They chose to protect the past instead of building the future.
And that one single decision, a decision born out of fear, was the beginning of the end. While Polaroid was busy protecting its film business, competitors, Sony, Canon, Nikon, they went all in on digital. And just like that, the empire began to crumble.
The fall was swift, and it was brutal. In 2001, the first bankruptcy filing hits. Then, by 2008, the unthinkable happens. They stopped making the very instant film that defined their existence. The magic was officially gone. It literally took a small group of devoted fans who called themselves the Impossible Project to buy an old factory and bring the brand back from the dead, but only as a niche nostalgia product.
So in less than a decade, they went from being a household name, a cultural icon that was synonymous with photography itself, to a ghost, just a memory of what once was. But look, this isn't just a sad story. It's a powerful cautionary tale. There are some critical lessons here for any business, any industry really. Lessons written in the ashes of Polaroid's failure.
And the lessons are just written all over the wreckage. First, Polaroid fell in love with its business model, selling film, not its mission, which was innovation. Second, they had the chance to cannibalize themselves before anyone else could, but they blinked. Third, they learned the hard way that being an icon yesterday guarantees you absolutely nothing tomorrow. And maybe most important of all, they listened to their fear instead of the market, which was screaming for digital.
And that right there is the ultimate tragedy of this story. This wasn't a case of being outsmarted or out-innovated by someone else. They had it all: the brand recognition, the engineering talent, the resources. They even had the patents for digital photography. They had all the pieces to own the future.
Which leaves us with this one haunting question. I mean, really think about it. What is Instagram at its core? Instant, shareable visual moments. It's the same idea. Could the company that invented instant photography have become the social media giant we know today? They had a 30-year head start, and they just let it all slip away. Imagine what a different world